Pain changes people, but not everyone is destroyed by it. Some are reborn through it. The weak crumble, the strong transform. Every scar becomes strategy, every wound a weapon. Niccolò Machiavelli once wrote, "Never waste the suffering of misfortune." He believed pain, when properly used, becomes the purest form of power. Because pain reveals who you really are when the world strips everything else away. So today, we're diving deep into the 8 dark habits that turn suffering into strength, that turn emotional wounds into weapons of wisdom, and that forge an unbreakable mind in a world that thrives on breaking you. These are not feel-good habits. They're forged in solitude, silence, and self-mastery. Let's begin. 1. Embrace isolation as a weapon. Most people fear being alone. They see solitude as punishment, but the powerful see it as a forge. When you isolate yourself, the noise of the world fades, and you begin to hear your own mind. Machiavelli said, "The man who depends on others is already defeated." Isolation removes dependence. It replaces distraction with direction. This is where the transformation begins, when pain pushes you inward instead of outward. Use that silence to rebuild yourself, to detach emotionally, to sharpen your focus. Because isolation, when mastered, doesn't make you lonely. It makes you self-contained. Affirmation: my solitude is not my weakness. It is my workshop of power. 2. Learn to detach emotionally. Pain feeds on emotion. If you let it, the dark habit here is emotional detachment, training your mind to observe, not absorb. Carl Jung called this psychological distance. It's when you rise above your feelings instead of drowning in them. When someone betrays you, pause. Don't react. Analyze. Ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me about control? Because every emotional storm has 2 sides, the chaos and the observer. You choose which one to become. Robert Greene wrote in the 48 Laws of Power, "If you can control your emotions, you can control your fate." That's why the detached man is dangerous. He feels deeply, but he never lets it dictate his next move. Affirmation: I do not chase control. I am control. 3. Reframe pain as data. The weak see pain as punishment. The powerful see it as feedback. Every failure, betrayal, or loss is data, information about what doesn't work, about who can't be trusted, about where your weaknesses hide. Machiavelli believed that the wise ruler uses every misfortune to refine his strategy. So instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" That small shift transforms pain from chaos into clarity. It turns emotional agony into analytical strength. And in time, you begin to crave the lessons hidden inside discomfort. Because each scar is a note written by experience. And the wise learn to read them fluently. Affirmation: every pain I endure becomes intelligence in disguise. 4. Channel anger into precision. Anger is wild energy. Most waste it in emotional outbursts. The powerful weaponize it. Think of Marcus Aurelius, faced with betrayal, disease, and endless wars, yet never lost composure. He channeled his frustration into discipline, not destruction. Anger becomes fuel only when you direct it through purpose. When you take that burning energy and aim it with precision. Start writing, start building, start training. Turn the chaos inside you into creation outside you. Machiavelli wrote that men should either be crushed or be feared. Apply that to your emotions. Crush them or command them, because untrained anger is a prison. Trained anger is a sword. Affirmation: my anger no longer controls me. I wield it with precision. 5. Cultivate ruthless self-honesty. Pain has a cruel way of exposing who you are, and most people can't handle that mirror. But power begins with truth, not comfort. When you suffer, you meet the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The laziness, the envy, the weakness. Instead of hiding them, study them. Document them like a strategist studying his enemy. Because only by confronting your own darkness can you ever control it. Jung said, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." You cannot rise without descending into your own flaws. Machiavelli would call this ruthless realism, seeing yourself not as you wish to be, but as you are. From that brutal honesty comes clarity and power. Affirmation: I face my darkness without fear, because it is the source of my strength. So far we've learned to turn solitude into strength, to master emotional distance, to treat pain as data, to control anger like a weapon, and to face truth without mercy. But these next habits are where the transformation becomes permanent. They're darker, deeper, and demand total self-discipline, because now we move from endurance to dominance. 6. Master the art of emotional withholding. Most people give their emotions away too easily. Their anger, their affection, their validation. They hand others the map to control them. Machiavelli warned, never reveal your true intentions. Appear open, but remain unreadable. This is the art of emotional withholding, not as manipulation, but as psychological defense. When someone hurts you, your silence becomes your armor. When they expect reaction, your stillness becomes their confusion. You learn to make others uncertain while you remain calm. Because the moment people can read your emotions, they can rewrite your behavior. The moment they can't, you become untouchable. In this quiet control, power grows. Affirmation: my silence speaks louder than their words. I am unreadable, and therefore, unbreakable. 7. Turn rejection into redirection. Pain from rejection is one of life's sharpest blades. Cuts deep because it attacks your identity. But what if rejection is not a wound, but a compass? Every no is information pointing you away from weakness. Every betrayal is a sign that you've outgrown someone's world. Machiavelli taught rulers to pivot, not pity. When allies turned against him, he redirected his loyalty toward strategy, not emotion. That's how power moves, quietly, without self-pity. So the next time rejection strikes, say, good. Now I know where not to waste my energy. You don't chase what turned away. You evolve beyond what couldn't see your worth. Because redirection is not loss. It's reallocation of power. Affirmation: rejection is my redirection. I am guided by what leaves me behind. 8. Build immunity through controlled hardship. Here's a truth Machiavelli would whisper to kings. Luxury weakens the will. Hardship breeds strategy. Most people run from discomfort, but those who seek it gain control over life itself. Controlled hardship is self-chosen struggle. It's when you train your body, discipline your mind, or withhold comfort to sharpen resilience. Waking early, training when tired, choosing cold over comfort, silence over noise. Because every small voluntary hardship is rehearsal for the inevitable pain life will throw at you. When you suffer by choice, you cannot be broken by surprise. Roman generals trained this way, sleeping on the ground before battle, to remember what softness does to strength. Pain becomes preparation. Suffering becomes strategy. Affirmation: I choose difficulty now so that nothing can destroy me later. 9. Observe without interfering. Most people react instantly. They want to fix, control, explain. But those driven by power watch first. Observation is detachment with awareness. You study patterns, motives, and weaknesses without emotional interference. Machiavelli's greatest strength was his ability to read the battlefield without stepping into it. He knew that distance gives vision. So when life throws chaos your way, pause. Don't speak. Don't act. Just observe. Because silence reveals truths that words conceal. The observer always sees what the emotional cannot. And the one who watches quietly wins slowly. Affirmation: I do not rush to act. I see all, hear all, and choose when to move. 10. Convert despair into discipline. When despair hits, it can paralyze. But Machiavelli believed discipline is the antidote to emotional collapse. He wrote, "Fortune controls half of our actions, but the other half is ours." Pain might be uncontrollable, but what you do with it, that's yours. Instead of drowning in emotion, channel it into structure, routine, order, work, Discipline gives pain direction. It transforms chaos into progress. When you train, read, build, or learn while broken, you're teaching your brain that no feeling can dictate your mission. This is where power begins, when purpose becomes stronger than pain. Because those who master routine amidst ruin become unstoppable. Affirmation: my discipline devours despair. I move forward, no matter what I feel. You've now entered the rare mindset that Machiavelli admired, not of the privileged or the lucky, but of the self-made and self-controlled. Each dark habit sharpens the next, until pain itself becomes your ally. But there's one more step, a final principle that fuses them all together. The one that turns everything, fear, betrayal, isolation, into pure dominance. And it's not about control over others. It's about total command over yourself. 11. Become the architect of your own pain. Here's the darkest truth of all. If you do not design your pain, life will design it for you. Most people drift through life reacting to misfortune. They wait for betrayal, heartbreak, or failure, and then wonder why they feel powerless. But the powerful create controlled suffering before the world delivers random suffering. Machiavelli believed that rulers must simulate crisis to stay prepared for chaos. He advised, "A prince who relies on luck is doomed to lose his fortune. So you must architect your own adversity. Study what breaks you. Simulate loss, rejection, silence, discomfort. Practice being calm when insulted. Practice being still when ignored. Practice being focused when exhausted. Because when pain becomes part of your design, it loses the ability to surprise you. You become anti-fragile, a creature who grows stronger through damage. Just as fire consumes everything that enters it, you learn to consume your own suffering and turn it into strategy. Affirmation: I do not wait for pain. I master it by design. Every hardship obeys my will. Let's step back for a moment. 8 dark habits. 8 stages of transformation. Each one carved from suffering. Each one born in the silence where weakness dies. Now we bring them together to reveal what Machiavelli truly meant by turning pain into power. The final lesson: power is born in acceptance, not resistance. Every dark habit has one underlying law. You stop fighting the pain. You start using it. The powerful don't ask for easier lives. They demand harder minds. They know pain is not an obstacle. It's a teacher, a tool, a gatekeeper to evolution. Resistance keeps you weak. Acceptance makes you invincible. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist, persists. What you accept, transforms." That's what Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to reveal who deserves the throne within. So when pain arrives, don't recoil. Don't retreat. Stand still and whisper, "Welcome. I've been waiting for you." Because once you stop fearing pain, there's nothing left that can control you. You become the strategist, the observer, the silent architect of your own destiny. Let's seal these 8 dark habits into your mind. 1. Embrace isolation as a weapon. Solitude sharpens your focus and builds independence. 2. Learn to detach emotionally. Observation replaces reaction. You become the calm within chaos. 3. Reframe pain as data. Every wound teaches. Every loss informs your next victory. 4. Channel anger into precision. Discipline your rage until it becomes a blade. 5. Cultivate ruthless self-honesty. Confront your darkness, or it will command you. 6. Master emotional withholding. Mystery and silence are your shields against manipulation. 7. Turn rejection into redirection. Let what abandons you define where not to waste energy. 8. Build immunity through controlled hardship. Seek voluntary struggle to build unshakable strength. 9. Observe without interfering. Vision belongs to those who watch longer and speak less. 10. Convert despair into discipline. Structure turns sorrow into momentum. 11. Become the architect of your own pain. Design adversity before life imposes it. Each of these laws builds upon the last, forging a mind so composed, so deliberate, that chaos becomes just another environment to dominate. Machiavelli would remind you, he who cannot master himself can master nothing. And when you finally understand that truth, you stop chasing peace through comfort. You start finding it in control. So remember this, the world respects calm power. It fears quiet resilience. And it bows to those who have turned their suffering into strategy. This is your transformation. This is how pain becomes power. Machiavelli's lesson.